Hey, everybody, and welcome to this month's episode of Tier Force Hero.
There's an S on there.
Goo is the only hero here.
We don't have
see
enough
what you're
practice
trying to
doing
do.
I'm here with the Tier Force fellas, and we're coming. I guess it's getting like colder and darker and kind of dismal outside, and we thought we'll cozy up this month and talk about some of the chill towns in Breath of the Wild. At least I think all of them actually are pretty chill. So we're gonna chill out,
Yeah.
and we're gonna rank all of them. And I guess to say, if you go look at the map on Breath of the Wild, we're doing all the ones that have the little town
Little house.
icon.
Little house, right?
So
Yeah, whole house.
yeah, no bazaar or whatever. No, I don't know. There's that mine outside of the Goron city.
Yeah.
So
None of the
that's
singular,
our criteria.
None of the singular houses. Sell me spot.
Ranking the houses would be awesome.
All houses.
Yeah.
All structures.
Just
Hyrule Castle.
Ranking all ruins in Breath of the Wild.
Oh gosh.
Oh man.
Oh, man.
So I don't know. You just want to get into it?
Yeah. I say I think it's
Let's
totem
do it.
time.
Totem time.
It is totem time.
It's totem time. What's up?
Here we go. All
Here's
right,
our
we've got our
wonderful list.
lovely list. Where should we start? I don't know. Is anybody really feeling like they want to talk about any of these?
Goo, you're the top of the totem. I think you got to start.
I'll
us
pick.
Off. I think you gotta just pick one.
I want to pick one that I feel like I just haven't had a lot of. I mean, I've been there a bunch and I've done stuff there, but it's not one that like it immediately sticks out to me because maybe it's not like a required one. In fact, I don't think I went there the first time I beat the game, and that's Lurelin Village.
Oh, okay.
I actually didn't really go there much the first time I played. It's a nice cozy beach side town. It's got kind of like Phantom Hourglass vibes, I would say. But
Okay, yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm kind of mixed on it otherwise. It's like C to me.
Have you guys seen? I think that's a pretty fair placement. But have you guys seen the There's like supposedly that's a little Easter egg because the layout of that town is like exactly the same as Outset Island from Wind Waker. Like there's like
cool.
the watchtowers in the same place and some of the houses are lined up the same
Yeah.
place and it's just a fun little Easter egg. And like there's not I think like vibes wise it's a nice just cool chill like seaside town, but compared to some of the other powerhouses that we'll get to, it just doesn't have that much to do. So I think C is probably fair.
Yeah, I would agree. It's a really cute town, but it doesn't have a lot to offer compared to like shop wise. I mean, it has the goddess statue just like every other town, but it's like as far as like things you can actually do there, there's not a ton. And I definitely didn't find it for a very long time in my first playthrough. Like you said, it's kind of just tucked away in the like South Ocean. I think I found it after I did Eventide Island. Actually, I just like went back to shore and just like explored and was like, oh, I guess there's a village here.
Doesn't feels like kind of I don't know, disconnected to me a little bit. Like someone I guess in like I remember someone in like Hateno mentioning like Lurelin Village, but otherwise like I didn't feel totally compelled to go there. Now I do if I play it because it's like I kind of want to go everywhere and explore, but I don't know why I was so like quest focused when I first played, and no one really like is like go there.
I mean,
yeah,
I was the Zelda brain playing Breath of the Wild. Do what the game tells me to.
I'm like, what?
So something about this town, like you just kind of touched on it, that it feels a little bit disconnected, and I think that's something that a lot of the towns in Breath of the Wild I do find kind of cool. Is they feel because the whole world is almost like post-apocalyptic. All of the towns feel like these little like hidden away little refuges where it's just like this collection of people like hiding away from the calamity. And this does feel like a group of people just kind of went off to the coast and were like, this is a good spot. We could fish here.
Mhm.
It's like a good little fishing spot village. We got some access to go over to the mainland if we want to. So I also think that disconnectedness could be seen as like a positive, but I'm not going to fight that hard for Lurelin Village.
No,
Yeah.
I would agree.
It's
It's definitely
interesting.
lower
The
tier.
criteria is going to be interesting for these because people like some people I know will have more of like a very like quest brain about it, and they'll think about like, oh, there's like not enough good quests, and some people, you know what I mean, like people value different things. And
Oh yeah.
I was sort of saying to Nico before we started recording, like I can't really come correct with a lot of like, oh, there's this quest, this quest, this quest, like I could if I could think of like the various locations in like Majora's Mask or something.
Mhm.
Like the thing that I kind of remember most about these is like the vibe and like some of the people.
Yeah,
Gooey, it's always you and the vibes.
definitely.
This one, it's
I think
nice.
that's
It's
a
hard.
strength of I think that's a strength of Breath of the Wild too, is just that like every single one of these towns has at least like a couple side quests, you know?
Yeah, which I do like. I think that's great.
Yeah, they do. And yeah, the hard thing about when I'm thinking of the vibes is it's hard to knock the vibes of any of the Breath of the Wild towns.
Oh
I feel
yeah.
like they're all pretty chill.
Sure.
Um,
It's a vibe heavy
I
game.
also think I really like this village too because this village has a dog. Not
Whoa.
I don't know
Oh.
if I think it's only like this one in Terrytown have the dogs that you can actually get like feed to get the chest. I think all the other
Oh.
ones are at
Stables,
stables,
right?
but this one is a star fragment too. So it's like it's pretty cool.
Maybe
But
there
that's
are
like the
some
redeeming
cooler
quality
things
of
about it.
Lurelin. I don't know.
Yeah.
Alright, so C.
I
I don't know if we'll
C
have
is
any
good.
D's.
I don't know if we will have a C or any D's. I agree. Let's do C.
Yeah, I think there are a lot stronger ones.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Corey, what do you think? What do you think next? Which one?
Um I want to follow up with a strong one.
Ooh,
One that I think is a very good town village, and that's Gerudo town.
Gerudo
Mm.
Town. Okay.
I gotta say this is one of my favorite locations in the whole game, especially like civilization wise. It's so big. There's so much to do. I love that you basically need to sneak in by wearing like different clothes and stuff.
Yeah.
The town is a banger. It has some of the best shops in the game. It has but
Yes.
like it's I just always love being there. And something that I kind of wish with a lot of times in Zelda games, I love so many of the towns and I just wish there were more. And that's true with Breath of the Wild, but I feel like this town possibly has the most to offer out of any other town. Do
I
you
would
guys
agree.
think that's fair?
Well,
There's a
yeah.
lot going on. Yeah.
There's so
Yeah.
much with Gerudo Town that there's the side quests like Dewey you were mentioning, like just connected side quests. I think Gerudo Town probably has like the most. There are so many things going out of Gerudo Town.
Yeah. It has
Yeah.
cool like I think about it too of like I was talking about kind of how the other stuff feels disconnected. Obviously this is like main quest area, but this is where I think about like stuff like the bazaar, which isn't technically part of the town, but I do think about
Yeah.
like you kind of think about like it existing in the world, you know, and it kind of feels like it exists in the world. And like you see the people traveling, you know, and you do feel like the bazaar is kind of part of this greater, you know,
Yeah.
influence that they have. And so it just feels like it like in the setting and like with the quests. And then also I just think of like it has some really fun unique like a look to it, like the architecture. Like
Oh,
we
yeah.
haven't really seen like a Gerudo town imagined before.
Yeah,
Like
not
we've had
really.
like the fortress in Ocarina of Time, but not like a town. And it's cool like the way it is and how it has like the water that flows like up in the
Yeah.
aqueducts or whatever.
Yeah,
And
it's wicked
it's just
cool.
it's super beautiful and the music is cool. And yeah, it's just interesting to like see, you know, because they kind of like portray the Gerudo like as a society which we haven't fully seen before, you know.
and they did
Yeah.
such a good job of doing that too. I mean, we learned so much about um how they view the rest of Hyrule, especially with like the little classroom teaching the Gerudo women like how to talk to men.
It's so ridiculous.
And like
Yeah.
it's just like
Yeah.
I love it.
all those little details are so fun, and like they did such like every corner of Gerudo Town has something interesting. You got the Gerudo Secret Club, right?
That's fun
Yeah.
where you
I
like
love
hang
that.
outside and like get the code.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that little detail of like no fellas allowed, but then there's like
Yeah, I
that
love
one
that.
Goron who's in there who's like, I don't know,
He's like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
they
It's like,
can't
I'm a
tell. I
guy, but
don't,
like, oh, whatever.
I don't think they know.
Yeah.
No, there's so much heart. That like it's full of personality. And like the Gerudo characters just in general in Breath of the Wild bring so much to the game.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
I would personally place it like low S, high A.
I'm A. It's not my favorite, but I think it is really
Okay.
cool.
So you guys are leaning towards A then instead of S?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I feel like I'm a bit like this is not like maybe I'm sort of just thinking like vibes based. I'm like there's other places that I feel like are more cozy and chill.
Okay.
Like
All right.
I will
But I
say
know that's
That's
not the
fair.
criteria.
I
Something I do want to say though is that like this, you know, similar to the rest of the towns, it does feel like it's kind of like a safe haven, like little pocket of civilization tucked
Mhm.
away from the world. And I think that's even more exemplified in this case because like the surrounding area is just like extreme harsh desert and nothing else. So it makes it feel like
Mhm.
this is like a fortress city, and it makes sense that they need, they're out in the open. It's not like Kakariko where it's like a hillside tucked away thing, or even Lurelin, which is literally you got to go a ways to get there. This is smack dab in the middle. You can see it for a long ways, and
Yeah.
it's like a fortified city.
yeah.
So I think it does have that cool vibe of like going from harsh, treacherous land to like, okay, I'm in the city and now everything's cool now. You know?
Yeah. I never really thought about that. You're right. It's very like they've got I don't know. It's just like
That's why they have the sand seal rental.
yeah. Do we have a guest?
No, that was me. Sorry.
Oh yeah, just Corey and his squeaky toys all the time.
I thought I took them all away.
All right. How do you feel? So where do we want to put it?
Yeah, Corey, you
We'll
didn't
go
really
A for now.
say.
We'll
A
go
is
A for now.
fine for now.
I want S. I think we might have to revisit it, but I'm okay with A for now if that's where
Cool.
you guys are leaning.
Yeah, there's some other towns I think if we chat about them, we'll like get more into the vibe and we'll see how they compare.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, oh gosh. Let's go with one I love. But I don't know how we'll rate it. Even I don't even know where I would put it, even though I love it. And that's Korok Forest.
Okay.
Because I didn't realize it was considered a village until we were looking into this. But then I'm like, I mean, that makes sense.
Korok's is people too, you know?
Korok's people,
Yeah,
they gotta live
absolutely.
somewhere.
They
So
got a
for
little
sure.
hotel there.
yeah, they do. They have a little hotel. It's very cute. And do they let you sleep there for free? I feel like
Do they?
I think
don't
that
know.
one they
I
let
thought
you.
they charge.
What
No.
do Koroks need money for?
That's
They're
a good
just hanging
point.
in the forest. They don't need money.
They don't need rupees.
Yeah.
No, they pay everything in their own poop. It's fine.
Yeah.
That little hotel and like the music, dude, it has this very nice charm, like this little, woodland, Korok vibe that I think is really nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I sort of agree with you where it's like, at first I was like, oh, I guess that is a town.
Yeah.
It doesn't really, I don't know, it doesn't rank high
it's-
for me because it,
Like they don't have houses because they just kind of like live in trees.
Yeah, live in the
You know?
trees or whatever.
I think
I
I really love the Korok Forest mostly because I mean obviously I like the Lost Woods. Surprise. Um, Breath of the Wild's Lost Woods is my absolute favorite iteration because it's
it's
so
cool.
just like the design, like approaching it and seeing the like giant blossom of the Great Deku Tree in the middle, surrounded by like death I'm like, I want to go to the pretty place in the middle. How do I get
Yep.
there? And it took me so long to figure out because I was doing music, I'm like, I just gotta find the music, but it's all mysterious. And then when you finally make it into Korok Village or Korok Forest, I guess, it's just like I'm like, oh wow, what is I made it. Like, look at this. And then the fucking Master
Yeah.
Sword is there. It's the Master Sword. Like,
That is really cool. Yeah.
oh gosh, how you can't I forgot that was even in there. So,
In the Deku tree, he's hanging out.
oh yeah, and the
Yeah,
Deku
he's
tree.
there.
So I mean, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But what do you think?
I'm not gonna lie, the Korok Forest, it's not much of a town in some respects because
Mhm.
it's just a forest. But I think in terms of settlements, in terms of the towns in Breath of the Wild, this actually ranks pretty high for me. And it is almost exclusively because of the vibes. Because like picture we all know getting through the Lost Woods, it's treacherous, it's dangerous, it's spooky, and then you get through and you're like, "Oh, what's this little clearing? Oh, there's a Korok that popped out of the tree. Oh, there's another one. Oh, there's another one. Oh my god, there's like 15."
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
you're just walking through and then that music starts and that is such a good little town theme, especially during the day. And it's just you get the feeling that especially when you get to where the Master Sword is and where the Great Deku Tree is and there's Koroks all around you and it's just like this feels like the most hidden little civilization in
Yeah.
this game and I love that, you don't really know what you're walking into until you're in it and then it feels like you're in this just precious little gathering, you know? And I feel like if
Mhm.
anything ever went wrong there, it would just be like everyone just scatters, you know?
Yeah.
And it's I don't know. I just think that has very strong vibes and I love that it's surrounded by the Lost Woods. I love that it has the little it's not really part of the town aspect of it per se, but it's surrounded by those little trials that you have to
Mhm.
do with the Koroks
Mhm.
to
That's part of it for sure.
yeah. So I just think it's a very strong location in terms of the vibes and the civilization aspect. And I love the Walton's riddles when you go on top of the Deku tree and
Yeah.
he's like sleeping back there and he gives you the little riddles.
Oh, I love
He's
that so
awesome.
much.
I feel like I wanted to see like more. Like I guess hasn't been really associated with Koroks. Like in Wind Waker, they're also just kind of hanging out,
Yeah.
in one area. But I was sort of thinking like I was always captivated by Kokiri Forest as a kid, and especially when you come back and you're like bigger, like way bigger, and all the stuff that felt normal is like now like, oh, this is like I'm stomping around all these kids. I'm gonna step on them,
Yeah.
and
Mm.
that's what I loved about that little hotel. I almost wish there was like more of that, like
I can see
more
that.
like
Yeah.
little like, oh, look at this little tiny house this guy lives in, like I would have loved to see, or they had like shops there too, didn't they?
Yeah,
It's
it's like
just
all inside
Yeah.
the Deku tree.
yeah, it's just inside, and I think that would have been, I don't know, that would have been my like design choices, like give us more little abodes.
What do they need houses for? They're trees.
I
They're the
know,
tree
I know,
guys.
I know they don't really need it, but I don't know.
Do you
They
guys
would be cute.
I honestly didn't know that there was a goddess statue in Korok Forest until like maybe less than a year
Mm,
ago.
I don't think I knew that. No.
Because it's like it's inside like next to the hotel, like the little place you can sleep. And I
Yeah,
had
it's
Oh,
tucked
no
away.
it's like pretty tucked away and I had no clue.
what do you think about above Lurelin and below Gerudo Town? Because I don't think it's better than Gerudo Town.
I think it's great. I don't think it's an A or an S tier village or town. But I do love it. I would happily put it in B.
Yeah, I personally would have put it in A, but that seems like the good compromise to put it in B. Because I agree, I don't think it's as good as Gerudo Town. I don't think it's as strong as that one.
Okay, we can revisit that too. So we talked about Gerudo Town, which is the town for the ladies, and I want to talk about the town for the fellas, which is Goron City. I
Goron
guess we don't really
City.
know what the deal with Gorons is, but this is the town for the guys. I
All
don't
the
know.
For
bros.
the bros.
All my bros love Goron City.
I do really like Goron City. It's cool to see like it's kind of I feel like an expansion a little bit of Twilight Princess, where you like which is in turn like a bigger version of Ocarina of Time, but where you're kind of climbing Death Mountain,
Mhm.
where this is like now it's like literally the town is volcanic,
Yeah.
you know, and it has also like the hot springs. And so I think just kind of it's not as like vertical as like the way they build Rito Village, but it does have sort of like it sort of feels like it is kind of carved into the mountain a little bit,
Mhm.
and it's got like the classic Goron tunes, and also similar to the bazaar, it's got like the mines on either sides of it, so you kind of have a sense of like the civilization. So for me, I think it's in league with Gerudo Town. I don't know what you guys think.
So I think what's really interesting about Goron City is that we've seen previous Goron towns, whereas we said we
Yeah.
haven't seen previous Gerudo towns. Definitely not in this to this extent. And so having a Goron City like this, I I have trouble like not comparing it to previous iterations, but it's my favorite of all of the iterations because it's not like in a the Ocarina of Time Goron City kind of sucks because it's just like it's all inside. I don't like it. I personally don't like it. It's like it's so tucked away, but it's like why is it all inside? Like I don't get that. I don't know. But I
Mm.
like that this one you can see houses and there's shops and there's a river of lava and it's incorporated with the mining facility and like it's very like realistic the way that it's like built. And then you've got the carvings of like all the famous Gorons up at the
Yeah,
top that I
that's
think
really
is
cool.
so cool.
That is cool.
It's my favorite iteration of a Goron city. I don't think it's as good as Gerudo Town. I'm maybe not the biggest Goron fan, but that's I don't know. Maybe I like
Corey,
strong
you look
women.
like you're about to drop a bomb on Goron
Well, yeah.
City.
Sorry to burst your guys' bubble, and it's not that there's nothing inherently that I dislike about this, but I think on this list, this is pretty easily my least favorite town.
Wow.
Okay.
I just feel like you know, I actually disagree. I like Goron City in Ocarina of Time and in Twilight Princess both better than this.
Really?
Maybe it was just I don't know. Maybe it was just the way I encountered this town on my quest or, you know, on my first initial playthrough, but this really just kind of feels like a pit stop town to me. It doesn't really it feels less like a settlement. There's interesting things going on, there's interesting things to do here. Cuz for my memory all that you just kind of have to talk to the elder, right?
Yeah.
And then he just points you in another direction where you go find your Nobo.
Yeah.
And I don't
Yeah,
know.
but
I don't
it's just it's like the mines just outside of
Yeah.
town. I mean,
And that's
and
cool. And I like the region in general, I think is pretty cool. Like the volcanic aesthetic is always interesting enough for me. There's nothing I think with every other town, there's at least something I can point to that makes me be like, I like this because of that. And
Mhm.
there's not this town for me has the least amount. So if you know me, I like filling out the tier
Oh
lists. So
no.
if I were to do a personal tier list, I would put this in D, but clearly that's not
no.
we're gonna have to meet some middle ground here.
I mean, I don't absolutely love Goron City. I don't think it's an SA or probably even B, but I don't think it's a D tier village.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to argue it's
That's
like
fine.
better than Gerudo Town. I
Well,
just felt like it had a lot of things that I like about it in the same way, I
Yeah.
guess. So
yeah.
I'm not arguing like it should be above that. And I'm not,
I
I could compromise, obviously.
I actually don't think that, as if we're doing this on a scale of all settlements in Zelda, I don't think this is anywhere close to a D tier town. But it's just like, comparatively, if I'm looking at the tier list and I'm making the criteria only based on the towns in Breath of the Wild, this list that we have right here,
Hmm.
this is the lowest for me, so that's why I would put it there. I don't I don't think in my mind I'm not like, oh, you know, Goron City and Breath of the Wild. I don't like that place at all.
Yeah.
So maybe C,
I
C or even B, whichever you guys want to do, I guess.
I'm I was thinking B at first, but like C I'm comfortable with too, honestly. Julie, what do you think?
Yeah, I guess if you're saying C, that's fine, I guess.
It's fine, you guess. How do you feel
We're
about it
floating
compared?
around B and C, somewhere
I
one of
like
those two.
B would be good for me, I think, but I
I'm
definitely like it more than
I
Lurelin.
do too. That's what I'm thinking.
But
It definitely is more uh thematically stronger
yeah,
than
that's what I
Lurelin, I
mean.
feel
Like
like.
this actually, because we've kind of the things we know about Gorons are they eat rocks and like they like lava. They can walk in lava like in Majora's Mask when you got the Goron mask. And this is like the first town that's like kind of presented them in a way that I feel like that's just true, you know, like
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
their town is like they instead of like rivers of water, it's like the lava, and it's so easy to like
Yeah.
accidentally like jump in lava in this town.
It is.
You know.
I think this is like the only village you can like easily die in.
And I also just personally I have a soft spot for Gorons. I think they're fun and fun
They're cool guys.
creatures. And this is like this might have more to do with like their designs, but this is my favorite like design of the Gorons and most of the character. I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah. So
We
B
can
for
do B
now.
if you want. I'm
We
okay
got
with B actually,
we got
because
a
the more I'm thinking about it, it's like I do like they have like the hot springs. You're right. The incorporation of the mines is pretty cool. I actually do like the kind of like the path that you have to take up when you go on the mission with Unobo to
Mhm.
kind of go
mm,
distract or get towards Varudania or whatever. I like that it's kind of a you can tell that there's a path kind of going through this town with the bridges and stuff. So
it
I
also
think it's
was like the
interesting.
first time I went there, it was really hard to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, and it felt like a treat because I knew I was gonna see Gorons, you know,
Yeah.
and
yeah,
I was gonna
okay,
see
yeah,
like
yeah,
what Goron City looked like, and so like the
pretty
build
true.
up for that was like, oh, yeah. Same thing with the
That's
major
fair.
races, yeah.
That's
This
true.
is
Yeah, all of
probably the
them.
most. This is probably one of the most treacherous areas around like a settlement. So it kind of makes sense that it's not like this huge bustling thing because it is literally like right next to a volcano. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like they sell you the armor that makes it easier, but like you
yeah,
gotta get there.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh boy.
Oh, cool. So
All right, Corey.
we're on City and B.
All right. Okay, let's do why don't we do Rito Village?
Okay.
Mm,
Continue on this trend of the
the main
yeah, the
hubs.
more main towns. Personally, I think this is it's not like it's not one of my favorites, but I love the theme. I do love that, you know, it's like a bird civilization, so it makes sense for it to be kind of like vertically assembled.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I like that it kind of spirals around the it's basically just a bunch of tree houses
It
for
is.
the most part.
Yeah, different like
And
landing pads, which is really
Yeah.
cool.
yeah, that's what I think is really cool about it. I think there's not size wise and in terms of stuff going on, there's definitely not a ton,
Mm.
especially because I isn't it like the whole town? There's basically like a pretty big gap between Rito Village and then anything else around it. Like
Yeah,
almost like the Lost Woods where it's kind of just barren around it, or am I just misremembering that?
No, there's really it's a giant pit. Like
Yeah,
it's a giant empty pit, and I think if you fall in it, you die, right?
yeah, I think so.
probably.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
basically yeah, it's nothing surrounding it. It's just a big tower in the middle of nothing.
It's kind of like some regions removed, I feel like, too. There's like the Tabantha, I think it's the
Mhm.
Tabantha, right? And then like just you've got the, you know, ice whatever, Hebra up top, and
Yeah.
I do
Yep.
think of it as like a little bit more remote, similar to like Lurelin, like especially when you're just starting. Like it makes sense to kind of go there uh early just
Mhm.
because it's a great power to get and stuff, and it's
Oh
like
yeah.
easier, the divine beast, but it is kind of like weird, like the path there from the plateau is kind of weird, so it doesn't really like, I feel like the game, obviously I feel like it guides you to like Hateno and Kakariko first, you
Oh
know.
yeah.
Yeah.
and that was like probably one of the later ones I did, which is kind of interesting because it's one of the
Yeah.
easier ones.
Me too, actually. It was literally the last one that I went to.
Really?
The Vamedo was the last divine beast I did, and that village was the last one I visited out of all these main ones.
I would have been
Because
so
it
mad.
did feel, it just felt pretty far off to me. You know,
Yeah.
I was always like, that one's way over there. I'll do that one later. Whereas if you start exploring, I think you need to make a point of going there, because if you start exploring the volcano area, I feel like there's not much of a chance you're gonna start exploring that and then not get to Goron City.
Yeah.
And same with the desert. You're not gonna start exploring the desert and be like, oh, that giant city in the middle. Yeah, I'll do that later.
And the Zora thing kind of guides you too, because you
Yeah.
can't really
Yeah,
go
It's
off the
definitely
path.
Zora is definitely the most guided too out of all of the villages.
for sure.
This is the only one where I don't feel like there's like a lead up where it's like, I'm gonna see the Ritos, it's like, but I do
Yeah.
think it is cool. Like all the things you said that are great about it, I think are awesome. And I think that when I first heard that rendition of the Dragon Roost
Oh,
Island song, I was like, oh my god.
It's gorgeous,
it's
dude.
literally some of the best music I think that's ever been written. That
I rank it high purely on like how nice that
It's
sounds and stuff.
it's so
it's
good.
yeah, it's fantastic. I love the night version too.
I love it all.
Mhm.
That's just like the acoustic guitar.
I like hanging over. So if you have all of the cast quests done and he's hanging out in Rito Village, you can go listen to him play his accordion at night by himself, and he's just playing along with the music, and it's so pretty. I love it.
Yeah.
But I'd say out of vibes, like if we're chatting vibes like we have been, this is some of my favorite because it's just like oddly nostalgic, even though it's only the second time we've seen a Rito Village like this.
And they're so different looking and everything.
Very
But yeah,
different.
I
Super
get you.
different.
But it's weird that it has sort of a nostalgic factor for me, even though we've never really had this.
Probably that theme.
It is. It probably is. And like I grew up playing Wind Waker so much. Like so
Yeah.
much. So I don't know. I love Rito Village. I would personally probably put it in B with the other two there. Because again, I don't think it quite fits Gerudo Town with as much depth. But it does have a lot of really great stuff to offer.
Okay.
I'm cool with that. I'm cool with B. That's what I was gonna
Yeah.
suggest as well.
We'll make just like we got a long stick going in B.
Yeah,
That's fine.
Maybe
B.
we'll adjust.
We can reevaluate.
Oh, easy.
Yeah.
Easily.
This works so far. We're on our way to a P.
Someday.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. Well, in that case, let's just do Zora's Domain.
Okay. That's cool.
My favorite version of Zora's Domain right here. This Zora's Domain is
Yeah.
gorgeous.
Easily.
Oh my
It is.
gosh.
It's so, the architecture is just so, it's crazy.
It incorporates, I think of like kind of Gerudo Town has this, and then what I was saying about Goron City, where it kind of, and Rito, where you think about like what the race would be like, and they it's like they do have like these like water slides, and they go off into these waterfalls that they can swim up. So it like it in a way it makes I think it like actually fits them in a way that like the other ones don't. I don't think it really called for them to think about this, but they went a little bit extra when they're like, yeah, it'll have like these water slides and stuff like that. It's really cool.
That is actually the more that I think about it, we keep going back to this, like they're like little mini like fortified civilizations in this post-apocalyptic world. These towns literally all have their own methods of like defense on the outside,
Yeah.
like ways to keep Ganon's minions out. And I think this is definitely one where it's like, even just getting there, you as a player, your first time, we did already touch on the fact that it's pretty heavily guided, but it is a pain.
It is.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
a huge pain
It's
to
a
get
que-
there because
it's
there's
a quest.
Alphos all along
Oh.
the way. It's raining. You can't climb up all the walls.
If you actually follow that path, it is so hard your first time playing this game. Now, whenever I've played it since, if I'm doing like bingo with friends or whatever, I go around as much of that path as possible because I can't deal with that. It's still hard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like it does have, and like along the way there's like little like there's like those tablets where you get the like lore tablets
I
and
hate
like
that
you
quest.
have like yeah, I don't really like it, but
Oh
you
my
also have
god, I
like
love that.
oh
I like the idea
I
of the
okay.
love the
quest.
tablets.
I love the
That's
tablets,
so
but
cool.
the quest sucks because it's like there's always one more and I never know where it is. But
I love
Yeah.
that because it makes it feel like this, they've been here for a while.
oh
There's
yeah.
Zora history in this area, and it makes it feel more than any other place that the area is really like part of this town. Like
Oh
this
yeah.
Mhm.
this civilization has been here and they've, taken their claim on this area for a while.
Oh yeah, I
And
mean
I think that's really cool.
if you look at the surrounding waterfalls, all of them are I guess Zora made instead of man-made, I guess. But they all have like they're kind of elegant and they have stonework around them and they're not just natural waterfalls. They're
Mhm.
they're
Yeah.
Zora made. And you go to like Prince Sidon's quarters up at the top of that giant staircase I wish I always knew was there. And there's just this fancy like bedroom on the giant lake where Varuda is. And it's just like they are very established in this
Yeah.
space. They really are. And also very well
And
protected like you said.
the what really blows me away so much about this town more than any other one is like the architecture
Yeah.
is so it looks like something that like some genius Zora engineers like built. There are so many like detailed and refined bridges and stuff. It's almost like you're walking into like some sort of the like ancient elven Lord of the Rings, like you're
Oh
going into
yeah.
Mm.
Rivendell or something, you
Yeah.
know?
And it's cool like with the music, it's not even like I don't even think they really like reinterpret the song at all. Like that song has not
It's
changed
the
Yeah.
since
same.
Ocarina of Time, but it really feels like you should not mess with this
You
song.
can't.
Like
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is not broke at all. Where like I kind of get what they were going with the Rito Village one, like why they interpreted it the way they did. Not that Dragon Roost Island isn't maybe one of the best songs, but it makes sense for this setting. But yeah,
What they're
that
going for,
Zora's
yeah.
Domain song is just like so perfect. Like they got it right on the
Yep.
N64 and they just kind of enhance it, every time with
Yeah,
the
there's
way
little things, there's like little changes, little slightly different, progressions, but it's, at its core, it's pretty much the same song.
You know,
it sounds like you're hanging out around a bunch of waterfalls.
it
Yeah.
does.
Yep.
One thing I haven't really thought of is the integration of Zora's domain's shrine. The location of its shrine is really weird compared to the other cities because it's like
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's got its own room. Like it's below the chambers. It's like it's a special spot. So it I don't know, it's like the Sheikah thousands of years before decided, hey, Zoras, you're going to be someday helping out the hero and you're going to need to have this shrine. We're going to have it housed in the middle of your village. Please protect it.
Yeah.
You
Build
know?
That
around it.
is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like the other cities, it's like it's there, but it's like off to the
Just on the
side.
edge
It's
of
just
town.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
whatever. But here it's like it's protected. It's completely surrounded by Zora's domain, which I think is really cool.
So on my personal list, I probably would have put this in A, but I think we've talked it up to an S in my mind.
I
Okay.
I can't think of anything negative about Zora's domain, but I have a proposal. I say we
What is it?
move Gerudo Town to S.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Okay.
Gooey, what do
And
you
then where
think?
do we put and then where does Zora go? Also an S or an A?
I'm gonna put it A in
I
my
think
head.
okay, I like Zora more.
Okay.
And I feel like some of the other ones might be S that haven't come up yet.
I'm okay with
Uh,
having multiple in S. Like a lot. I'm
I
fine
okay.
with
am
that
too.
because obviously we just really love the villages in this game.
This is definitely one of the strongest ones in the game for me.
I'll
But
agree.
also so is Gerudo Town
What
for
if we
me,
put
so
we all agree Zora's I'll say it can go in S. Let's put it there and see what that looks like real quick. Okay. Now
Okay.
we're saying do we want to bump up Gerudo?
Sorry.
I personally
Oh,
want to.
Okay.
look, I
Let's.
coughed and it just like moved on its own.
I
Oh,
think.
weird.
I think for now, I'm okay with it.
We can revisit.
Okay,
Yeah.
There,
so with
yeah.
this, I have another
Well,
question.
what is it?
Now that we've moved those up to S, do you guys think Goron City and Rito Village are better than Korok Forest?
No,
Corey doesn't. Let's
No.
leave
absolutely
this
not.
for now, because I think the
Okay.
ones we're about to talk about are heavy hitters. In
Every
my
village except for
opinion.
Lurelin Village is a heavy hitter in this. So I don't know. Okay.
I think like I would want to throw out uh Hateno
Okay.
as being an A. I think it's awesome. In fact, in terms of vibes, it's like the chillest town. Like I just want to like that's a town I want to live there at, and I guess you
100,
do
yeah.
get your house there.
It's Link's home.
Yeah, it is Link's
Yeah.
home.
It does feel like it's just kind of like here's your standard village, your
It's
fantasy village or whatever, but
Yeah,
in my head, Hateno is the closest we have to continuing like civilization after this apocalypse. It's the
yeah,
most put together city or town
mhm.
in all of Hyrule at this point in time. Like Kakariko is, I mean, they have the Sheikah, but they're like doing their own thing. Hateno, it's just a bunch of people. You've got a mayor
yeah.
who's working out in the farm, in the fields. You've got the guy that wants to give you a tour, and
You got the tech lab.
you got the tech lab, you've got
That like
shops.
overlooks the town. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you've got a hotel.
A farmer,
Yeah,
Yeah, you got
clothes
the dye
design.
shop.
there's so much packed into this tiny little village, which a lot of people could easily look over. But one thing that especially stands out to me in Hateno is the fact that there is proof of moving forward with building new houses. Like they are, you've got
Yeah,
crap, what are their names? All the
Olson.
Olson.
Bolson, yes, the Bolson Construction Company. They're building their weird little like cube houses that are like
Yeah,
chic and
off to the
modern.
side. Yep.
And it's like proof that they're trying to like move on. They're trying to keep building, and like it's kind of
Mhm.
like hope. I don't know, it's like cheesy, but that's how I always viewed Hateno. It's the most hopeful village that we have in Breath of the Wild.
Because it does lie after the fort and all that stuff,
Yeah.
where it feels
Mhm.
like they held out beyond that. And that's what I was sort of thinking about in terms of like everything's disconnected because the world is kind of in ruins, but like it's one where I feel like a strong sense of like, what its part of the world was.
Yeah. Yeah. I've said this a couple times, but this Hateno village is actually literally my favorite town in the whole game.
Really?
I Yeah. I think
Okay.
and it's
Wow.
thematically like you have Zora's domain, which is obviously the water and the Zora, and you got Gerudo Town, which is obviously the desert and the Gerudo. And this doesn't really have something like that, but I feel like that plays as a strength because like you guys are saying, this is just a town. This is the quintessential, this is what people do after the world goes to crap in a post-apocalyptic world. This is how people settle and resume their everyday lives. You
Mhm.
know, this town feels so much like home. It's crazy.
It
And I
is
love
home.
Hateno Village is one of my favorite themes in the whole game.
Mhm.
That the
Yeah.
music is so good. And the fact that Link's house is actually there, it just solidifies the whole homey feeling. And something I want to touch on that I think Breath of the Wild doesn't really get enough credit for, or maybe not doesn't get enough credit for, but I feel like it's not talked about a lot, is that so many people love Clocktown because of the cyclical nature of the NPCs and what they do during the day. That is so true for Hateno Village.
Mm.
If you just hang out there for a day, you can watch so many of the NPCs even like the kids, you can watch them wake up at 7 a.m.,
Yeah.
get out of their beds, go outside, start playing around. Then they go up to this area during the afternoon, and then all the adults go to work. And then, as the sun's setting, like certain people are going in for the nights, people are like working the fields and stuff. And it's like, this feels so much like a homey town that it's like, I don't know. It's unparalleled for me. I love Hateno Village.
I love it a lot too.
Okay, I mean,
it does
you're
feel like
making an
home.
argument for us in S. It is actually like the spiritual successor, I feel like, to Kakariko Village from the classic games, not like Twilight Princess. It's kind of a weird village, but like, A Link to the Past, Ocarina of Time,
Yeah.
Windfall Island,
Yes.
like that kind of just like the homey
Definitely.
Hylian village,
Yeah, this is the place where people live now.
Yeah. I mean, I could see it in S. I mean, maybe we could just put it there now, and still, I feel like we just have a weird, shape going. But
I mean, if we could, I would be fine with knocking either of the other two out of S to put this one in S.
We can
I feel
keep it for
very
now.
strongly about this one.
Honestly,
we got two more.
I
Yeah.
I love so many of these villages. Like, I knew it was gonna be a very top heavy tier list, but I don't think that's a problem.
Yeah, it could be all right.
That's the only reason I wanted to put one in D, because you guys know me. I like to fill it out.
That's fine.
I like to have something everywhere.
Maybe we can shift.
I'll cut it out so we can't see D afterwards, and it'll be
exactly. If none end up in D, just cut out the D tier.
I'll cut it out. I don't think we need it.
We could also let's get them on the board, and then maybe we'll like move the pieces around. Yeah. We got the final two.
Okay. Let's do all right. Well then, why don't we just go into Kakariko Village then?
Okay. What are your thoughts on
Kakariko? I think this is another really strong one. I would also lead with A on this one, not just to fill the spot, but because it is such a quest significant area. To me, it was one of the first villages I journeyed to, and it felt like, wow, it's Kakariko Village. But then it, in a way that goes with other elements of the series, it leaned into that Sheikah element, and I like the vibe they went with like kind of having a very like Japanese like feel to it. So it reimagined Kakariko Village, but in a way that works. It makes a lot of thematic sense, and that's one where I like the different themes. I kind of like the different characters in the town have really cool quirks. Like there's the arrow lady who's like kind of hot for Link because her husband is like so obsessed with Kukos, and you have the classic. Weird. Yeah, it is, but there's the classic Kuko quest, which is another, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And then there's a lot of little quests, and obviously Impa and the characters, and I really like it. I think it's really nice.
It also has Paya, so that bumps it up.
People like Paya, I guess.
That bumps it up a tier.
Paya's cute.
So interesting enough, we've talked about how after you leave the Great Plateau, they kind of guide you in that direction. And Kakariko Village, you're kind of supposed to like go through dueling peaks, and then you encounter Hestu. And then eventually, as you keep going up, you get to Kakariko Village, you walk through the gate, it's there. That is very not how I encountered it, because when they were at the point, because I was following the hype for this game, I'm sure as we all were, before going up to it, and it was put so much emphasis on you can go wherever you want, whenever you want, right out of the gate. So when they said, hey, you should probably head towards that direction, I was like, nope. So I just went somewhere else completely, and I ended up literally coming from the reverse side. Like I came over the hills and kind of like fell down into the village, and I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
I was like,
that's awesome.
And it sounds cool, but like I think that kind of took away some of that presentation aspect of it, because one of the last things I saw in the village was the village sign. So I was just kind of like, what is this place? And I was like, okay,
Oh,
I guess this is Kakariko Village, and it took away a little bit of the presentation of it for me. So I've never really felt super fondly about this village, but I do agree that it's like, it's a super cool reimagining of Kakariko Village that feels very fitting. And I like that it also feels very post-apocalyptic settlement. It's like a hillside, tucked away in the rock
hmm,
faces and stuff village, because you can't have intruders coming from up the hill. They wouldn't be able to make it up. So, and I do like
yeah.
that Kilton shows up there at night. I like that Pi is there. I like that Imp is there. I like that they have the Great Fairy Fountain right around the side.
Yeah. I
There's
think
definitely some cool stuff going on.
I agree. I really like this iteration of the town. However, I feel like it leans so much on the thematics. Like it's obviously themed around the Sheikah, and I feel like they just kind of took that and they're like, well, that should be good enough. I don't think it has as much personality as Hateno. Um, Even though it's still a really cool village. The music is phenomenal. It's beautifully tucked away. I like the little bits of
Yeah.
farmland, but
Hmm.
it's not my favorite. It's cool, but I always just am like, okay, I'm gonna go there, drop my like finish my quest with Impa and leave. I never felt super
Yeah.
inclined to just like hang out there. I don't know.
I know what you mean.
For
It's
me,
not,
it's
it's
always
also,
like a spot I stop back at because it's got the Great Fairy. It's like the first
yeah.
place that I meet the like painter guy, and you get sent off on, and that was cool where he like sends you off, and all of a sudden you're in that like Lanayru
Mhm.
promenade or whatever, and it's like whoa, like I know that's not like part of the town, but it has that thing where it's like you get a sense of like there's some communication between them and Hateno, and then they are overlooking
Mhm.
that field that once you kind of go that way, you get kind of guided towards Zora's domain a little bit, and
Oh
so
yeah.
I don't know. For me, it kind of felt like like stuck in this like kind of like hub of the world a little bit. So
Mhm.
to me, felt like kind of a central location. I would go to like there and Hateno to like check my upgrades, and then like maybe
Yeah.
go to my house and drop stuff off, and go to the
Yeah.
tech lab.
It did feel like it kind of felt similar to Goron City. It kind of just felt like a pit stop town for me, but it definitely was one where I went to a lot more than something like Goron
Oh
City,
yeah.
because it is like I would, if I'm trying to get to a certain area in that general vicinity, I'll be like, all right, I'll just warp over to Kakariko, do a little stuff here and there, like you said, maybe go to the fairy fountain, check my. That's what I remember it most for, is like going there and then going to the fairy fountain to upgrade my stuff.
Yeah.
You
Mm.
know.
I feel like I
And
used it
also,
more early game, and then after I got like the memories, because I for some reason was so focused on getting those memories like right away when I first played, because that's I wanted to just know story
Yeah.
elements.
It's cool.
But
no,
then
that's cool.
later, yeah, it's a great way to tell the story in my opinion. But then after that, I just like never went back. I would go to Hateno. I would go to the four races villages. I would go to different. I always went to the Gerudo Great Fairy because I thought it was the coolest. But like I just like stopped going to Kakariko. I still love the village though. I still think it's an incredible spot.
So,
It, it it's also one more argument I make in favor of it is it's one where like I actually feel like I kind of know the deal of like most of the characters in the town. I mentioned some of
Yeah,
the people, but then I know like there's the
okay, yeah, yeah,
guys who hate each other because of their crops, and
yeah,
like that's just one
yeah.
where I feel like I know the people who live there. Or there's like the one guy where you have like he has like that secret quest or whatever, like the Yiga
yeah.
thing. And
Yep.
then
That's a
also
cool quest.
introduce
And the
like just
daughters,
the
the two daughters.
Don't
yes,
talk
yeah,
about them.
They
It's
with
so
the
it's
mother
so sad.
are so sad.
cooking, doing the cooking. And that's when I first also I kind of just associate it as when I first like really learned the lore of like the Yiga clan. And I know
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
that's more
sure.
closer to Gerudo, but like I don't know, there's just a lot of like uh, I don't know, it was for me like, oh, like the Kakariko village is like totally different now in that way. So for me,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
would put it up high. It's not the best, but I would put it in A. myself.
Okay, so Goose pitches A. Nico, what do you think?
Same.
What's your personal pick?
I would put it in A personally.
You would also put it in A?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I won't fight that. I would have had it lower on my list but, I do think it's really cool. That's the thing about these a lot of these towns, it's just like they're all really cool.
Yeah.
Now
I
we've
get
made
it.
an F tier list here.
Oh no. Should we add one? No.
Well, I mean, do you feel like we could shift things down? Like, do you like want to say Lurelin is D, and then maybe we could bump some down to
happily cut out the D tier because I don't think we need it.
I think it's fair to cut out the D tier because Lurelin's the only one in C right now, anyways, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So there's no need to.
No.
Oh, I see where you're saying to kind of like. Well, I can't see it right now. So what's in B? What do we have in B?
Okay, let's just go through the list really quick. So up in S tier, we have Zora's Domain, Gerudo Town, and Hateno. In A, we have
that makes sense.
Yeah. In A, we have Kakariko by itself. B, we have Korok Forest, Goron City, and Rito Village. And in C, we have Lurelin Village. D is empty.
We have an F. And we have to add in Tarrey Town.
We have to put in Tarrey Town.
Which is S tier in my opinion.
Yes.
Okay. Before we get into that, my proposal is cut D, and then one of the ones in B I want to move up to A. Because those three that are sitting in B right now, personally, I don't think they're all on the same.
Can I delete this row?
In my mind,
I did it. I deleted D.
Wow.
It's gone. It's gone.
That's
so
crazy.
we have Goron City, Rito Village,
and Korok Forest.
Are all these ones in S staying in S?
Yeah.
Jeez, okay.
It's okay to have multiple S.
These are the S tier towns in my mind. Like, that makes sense to me.
Okay. Well, you're going to want to bump up Korok Forest, and I don't agree with that.
No.
I would want to bump up either Korok Forest or Rito Village to A tier.
I would personally bump up Rito Village. Strictly for the music.
How about we do
agree?
That?
I would agree to that.
Are we going to do that?
Okay. Let's do that.
My choice would be Goron City, but I will agree to this.
That's the bottom of my list, so we can't have that at A tier.
Yeah, I know. Well, now we have a reverse pyramid, so.
Okay.
But Tarrytown is S tier too, don't you think?
I think so. Corey has his opinions.
Okay, well, since we're getting into it, I think Tarrytown is the best side quest in the whole game. Like, easily.
Yes.
I think this is easily the coolest one. And I love the fact that you take, basically, when it's all said and done, you take partial ownership of this town. The layering of the music as you invite more and more members from the different races, that's just genius. That's fantastic.
So smart.
You collect all those people from the different races who are tired of living in all those other crappy towns.
Oh, yeah.
They don't like Rito Village.
I think there are phenomenal things to be said about this side quest. I just think when all is said and done and the town is completed and you're hanging out there and it feels like home and you're like, yeah, this is really sweet. I feel like there's not a ton of reason to go back there. It does have good shops, and I will give it that. But aside from that, I think it's a little bit of a bare bones town. And that's not putting it low, really, for me, but that's the only thing that knocks it out of S into A, in my opinion. I would put it in A. Because it's not, when all is said and done, it's the experience of building the town that I think is awesome. Yeah, I'm not really sure it's the town itself where I'm like, this is so cool, you know?
I feel like it goes hand in hand. I don't know, because I also think of it as an extension of, you mentioned that aspect of like, you go to Hateno and they're like, check out these new towns you're building. And they like, I just think of like, it's a journey to like just get there for the one. And then it's in like this beautiful region, like one of the best areas to just like hang out and look at. But you have to like go on this quest that you're like, they embark you on this quest just to get there. And I feel like that's like one of the, what's that?
It's in the Akala region, right?
Yeah, and it's kind of like
Yeah.
it's like one that like is the first time where I felt compelled to like not just go to one of the, you know, major places they were telling you to. I was like, "Oh, I got to go here and see what's going on." And then you get there, but then it becomes like then it begs you to like go to these other places. And I don't know, I just like it, and I do like the weird cube houses, and
It's
I
cute.
like I don't know. I
I
mean, I could go with A, I guess, you know, like that.
no,
I don't
Uh,
know.
no,
You know what?
Nico,
Let-
what do you say?
yeah, I want
no,
to hear
no,
what
no.
Nico has to say
Okay,
first.
this is literally, and this is coming from somebody who my favorite video game in the world is Majora's Mask. Tarrytown is the best side quest ever. Period. It is my absolute favorite.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Anshuin Cafe, incredible. Tarrytown is
Baby
better.
food compared to Tarrytown.
Baby
It's
food.
it's like the inverse. It's like instead of like having this town with this intricate quest or like these intricate things in
Mhm.
it, it's like the intricate thing is making the town.
It's
I don't know.
I like the symbolism of Tarrytown. How, like I said, it's similar to Hateno. This the symbolism of building a new world, building a new town together, and
Mhm.
building it with every race from Hyrule, bringing them together into one is just like I don't know, it's
Yeah.
beautiful. It's such a good message that I don't know if Nintendo was necessarily trying to like put a message out there with Tarrytown, but it sure felt like it to me, you know? And it's my favorite song in the whole game. Like the Tarrytown theme
Great
is
tune.
just
Yeah,
gorgeous.
Tarrytown is a
I
fantastic.
just cry thinking about it.
I
And
also think about like the quests that there are to do there. It's like
Mhm.
if you do them as they come up, it's like yeah, when you're done, there's not a lot to do. But I think what's kind of cool is like as you do more, like a little quest will be there for you to do. You know, like
yeah.
Yeah.
so it kind of is thematic with the building of the town. It's like as you do more, you'll have like the one where the guy pays you to go kill guardians,
Yeah.
or like you know, I don't know, like that's
All right.
yeah.
And it
All right.
has one of the coolest
Let's
shops.
put it in S tier.
Thank you. Thank you.
I don't know what I was saying. Let's put it in S tier.
It
It's a
also
great town.
it also has one of the best shops in the game.
Yeah,
From
now that
what's its
now that
name?
I'm thinking about it, like if I remember if it in any time if I was like low on arrows or something, it's either am I going to Terratown or am I going to Gerudo Town? It was one of those.
Mm.
You know.
What's
It's
the
like
name
that
of that?
guy who sells you the armor.
What is his name? He's just like
I don't know.
that emo kid.
Phil. I don't know.
I don't remember his name, but
Yeah,
he
Bill.
like it's the only place you can like buy back items that you may have accidentally sold or stuff like that.
Oh
Like
yeah. Yep.
because he's like
Yeah,
sitting
I
on
know
the
what you're talking
balcony
about.
outside of his house. I don't
Mhm.
remember. And
Mm.
he's
I don't know his
somebody's
name, but I know
And
what you're talking
he's like
about.
isn't he the son of the people Robbie and what's her name? Or no, he's the son. I don't know.
he's
There's some
somebody's
connection with like
son. I can't
somebody's
remember
son.
now.
I don't know.
Gosh, it's been
He
so
has to be
long since
someone's son.
it's so long since I played Breath of the Wild. I just need to play it again.
Yeah.
Well, this is
Okay.
pretty strong. I'm okay with the way we have this laid out. It's
I'm
just like
I'm
yeah, it's very top heavy.
I'm cool with Terrytown in S tier, and I do not want to move Hateno Village from S tier. I would be okay with moving one of the other two down into A tier. And I propose that we move. Actually, I don't know. I don't know which one I want to move.
Domain? Like, I
Do we
personally
I guess
think
we don't have
that-
to.
no,
We don't have to.
no, you don't have to.
I
It doesn't have to look like a P, Corey.
does it not though? Doesn't it?
No, it looks like an upside down pyramid.
No, it's one wing. It's a wing. See
It's
that?
half of the eagle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Level 1 right there.
Level 1. I think this is
All right.
beautiful.
So we're locked in.
Let's
Hands
do
up.
it. Cement it.
We're locking it
Totem-
in. It's
Totem
locked in.
lock.
Sorry, that's it. That's our list. That's
Yeah,
the
that was
Tier
Beautiful.
Force Heroes tier list of the villages / towns in Breath of the Wild.
that was fun to do something
it.
different.
I love it.
Something different. Yeah.
I like
Well,
it.
okay. Yeah.
Well, I'm
So-
curious what our viewers have to say. I am
Mm,
excited to read the comments. I feel like we're going to have some people with a lot of opinions, which we want to hear. And I'm also curious, we will post the link so that you can make your own tier list. So be sure to share those in the Zelda Dungeon Discord as well.
Let us know if it's legit to put that many in S, or if our list is illegitimate.
Too many in S.
Not enough.
This is a rigged list.
Yeah. So I mean, for next month, it's gonna be chilly, so we'll probably do something chilly themed. But
yeah, chilly
we don't
themed,
know.
cold themed.
Leave a suggestion.
Best chili in the Zelda series.
Best chill.
You know what else? Zelda Dungeon has an Etsy, so if you haven't checked it out, go check it out. You
Go
can
check it
get
out.
Cool stuff like this.
Check out our links, all our socials,
all down there.
And yeah, thanks for watching. We'll see everybody next month.